All right, this is going to be my video for the UFC 302 predictions. I'm sorry it's coming out a little late. I've been sick as shit, so I'm just trying to get through this. All right, so starting with the first fight on the card, which is Mitch Raposo and or Nyamjargal Tumendemberel. I don't know that guy's how to pronounce that name, but anyways, that dude. I would say if it's Mitch Raposo, Andre Lima's gonna win. The only thing I've noticed with Andre Lima is that he does kind of get a little flustered. Like I've noticed that in his fight with Severino where he got bit. When Severino would put the pressure on him, he would like kind of get scared and mess up and not be super clear. I don't know that Mitch Raposo is going to put the same kind of pressure on him, in which case I think he's going to win. So if he's fighting Mitch Raposo, he's going to win. However, that other dude, who's Mongolian, I think, he's pretty persistent, and he's pretty quick, and he looks like he has this scary feeling in the cage. So I think that if he's going to be the one fighting, then Andre Lima is going to have a tougher time. Though Andre Lima is a pretty good striker, I think he's a pretty good fighter overall, but I think he does have a weakness where if the other opponent is putting on pressure or being intense, it does kind of freak him out. That's what I've noticed. All right, the next fight is the only women's fight on this card. Ailin Perez versus Joselyne Edwards. I think Ailin Perez is going to win. I think she's better in every department than Joselyne Edwards. Joselyne Edwards also lost against Nora Cornell. And so, yeah, I don't really believe in her, I think I also think that Ailin Perez's fight IQ is a bit better, and I think that's how she's going to win this fight. Yeah, I think she's just the better fighter. And also, I feel like when she has Joselyne on the ground, which I definitely think there's going to be a lot of grappling in this one, it's going to be difficult for Joselyne to get up and out of it. Like, that's just what I think. Okay, moving on to the next fight, we have Gall versus Bassil Hafez. I think Bassil Hafez is probably going to get a finish on this one. He was talking about how he had a canceled fight a few months ago, and he's essentially saying he's been ready, and was hoping he could actually fight earlier. So I think he's going into this one super prepared. Also, his last fight with JDM, where he took that fight not only on short notice, but like struggled to make weight, and still did really well. That fight went to decision. So I think he's going to have no problem with Gall. Also, Gall was saying that he wanted, he needed to do this fight by June 1st because Bassil Hafez originally wanted to do it like a month earlier, and Gall wasn't ready. So yeah, I think Bassil's got this one. Okay. All right, the next fight, we have Niko Price versus Alex Morono. And I feel like Alex Morono is going to win, and let me explain why I think that. I think he's just overall a more well-rounded fighter. I think he has better ground game. The only thing that I'm kind of concerned about is Niko Price's reach advantage, which could lead to him like accumulating more points along the way. However, he lost his 2 previous fights, I think he's coming off of 2 KO losses. And I just don't feel like he's going to be like in those 2 fights, he wasn't looking like he was showing up 100%. And I just don't think he's going to show up looking and feeling 100%. Otherwise, I would say he might have a chance. But yeah, and also I've noticed that like anytime he tries to like attempt throwing a kick, it's almost as if his leg is made of iron and it's like hard for him to lift it. So I don't know, man. Like I think if he shows up prepared, maybe he could win. I'm staying away from this fight personally. But as of now, I think Alex Morono's probably got this one. Okay, Next fight is with Phil Rowe and Jake Matthews. I think Phil Rowe's going to win. I think he's just going to outstrike Jake Matthews. He has a 7.5-inch reach advantage. We saw Jake Matthews struggle against Michael Morales, who was also like bigger than him and had probably a reach advantage and didn't let him get too close. And I just don't think that Phil Rowe is going to allow Jake Matthews to get too close. Not with a 7.5 reach advantage. So, I think Phil Rowe's got this one. Okay, the next fight is with Grant Dawson and Joe Solecki. I think Grant Dawson has got this one. I think he's gonna win probably by decision. Both of these dudes pretty much only grapple. Joe Solecki has pretty much no boxing abilities. I've noticed that he pretty much just uses boxing as like a setup for a takedown. Like he just kind of like throws these bluff punches, just bait the opponent. I just think that Grant Dawson's gonna outwork Joe Solecki on the ground. He's a little stronger. I think he's got his jiu-jitsu muscle memory a little more refined. And yeah, I think he's just going to be more of a challenge for Joe Solecki. Also, Joe Solecki is coming off of, how could I put this into words? A canvas head smash KO. So, anytime someone gets KO'd in like a pretty brutal way and, where the contact to the head seems very damaging, which that seemed pretty damaging to me. They're not quite the same. I'm thinking about the Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev leg kick KO situation. Anyways, yeah, so I think Grant Dawson's probably going to win this by decision because he's going to have the better grappling, and this is going to be all about grappling. So, yeah. All right, next fight is with Roman Kopylov versus Cesar Almeida. I think Roman Kopylov is going to get the win here. I think he can get a KO, actually, or he'll win by points. Both of these guys don't really grapple. They're both pretty much strikers. And that's where I've noticed in Kopylov's last fight, he lost because there was a lot of grappling involved, and he just didn't have many answers for that and tired himself out and wasn't able to do what he does best, which is box. But this time it's pretty much going to be solely boxing, and I think it's going to allow Roman Kopylov to get in a flow and just win by getting more points. And also his I've seen him strike, and he's so mean, and so he hits hard. It's pretty intense. So I honestly think he's got this one, and I think he can absorb shots pretty well. I think all Eastern European dudes can, from what I've seen. They don't really go down that quickly from getting hit. So I think he's got this one. All right, next up we got Randy Brown versus Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos. I think Randy Brown is gonna win by points. We've seen him consistently outstrike people who have been smaller than him, and this is just another one of those cases. He has a 5-inch reach advantage. So yeah, I think he's just gonna rack up points this whole fight, and he's gonna win that way in a very boring decision. Yeah, that's my opinion on that. All right, moving on to the next fight, which is with Jailton Almeida and Alexandr Romanov. So I think Jailton Almeida is going to win this one because he's consistently done better against the really fat heavyweights. Also, Alexandr Romanov is very slow, and he's pretty fat, and so I think the whole time he's going to be 2 steps behind, while Jailton Almeida completely drains him of his energy. And yeah, I think it's just going to be a very, very long day for Alexandr Romanov. Yeah. All right, moving on to the next fight, which is with Kevin Holland and Michal Oleksiejczuk. I actually think that Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to win. I think this is one of those fights where a fighter's strength and another fighter's weakness come together in a beautiful harmony. And in this case, the worst fighter, I think, might actually win. I think overall, Kevin Holland is probably the better fighter, but Kevin Holland likes to slip up and he likes to leave openings, which most of the time fighters don't take advantage of. However, Michal Oleksiejczuk solely succeeds when there's openings. Like, he just will take advantage of the openings and work with that. Otherwise, he's not very aggressive. Also, like, both of these fighters have shown weaknesses when facing an opponent who's faster than them, but in this case, I think they're both kind of around the same speed. So I think it'll be a pretty balanced fight overall. And I'm counting on the fact that Kevin Holland's going to slip up. And I'm counting on the fact that Michal Oleksiejczuk is going to take advantage of those slip-ups. All right, we move on to the co-main event. Paulo Costa versus Sean Strickland. Now, initially, I thought maybe Paulo Costa... I actually thought Paulo Costa would win. And then I started watching back Paulo Costa and Sean Strickland fights. And then I remembered in Paulo Costa's last fight with Robert Whittaker, he was just completely gassed out in the third round. And there was another fight that Paulo Costa fought with somebody else. Forget who his name was. But it was his last win. He was so extremely tired, and his opponent was so extremely tired and even slower than Costa, and Costa could barely do anything. And that worries me because we've seen Sean Strickland go 5 rounds with Duplessis, and, you know, he was pretty solid by the end of it. So I think his cardio is just a lot better than Paulo Costa's. But here's the thing. If Paulo Costa can, like, land a magical kick in, like, the first round or two, then maybe, you know, if it does enough damage, maybe he could win. But I almost feel like Sean Strickland is going to be aware of this, and he's going to be blocking, you know, those kind of strikes. So I think the conclusion I came to is that this most likely will probably go to decision. And if that's the case, I think Sean Strickland is going to find a lot of success in the later rounds. And I don't think he's going to have a problem just, like, stacking up those points at that point, you know? So I think Sean Strickland's probably going to win this one. All right, and we move on to the main event, which is Islam Makhachev and Dustin Poirier. So I think, obviously, Islam Makhachev is going to win. And, you know, I just think that he's a better fighter overall. I think a lot of people would agree with me on this. He's also not taking any breaks. Dustin Poirier is shooting Bud Light commercials. I just don't think that this is, like, we're talking about the same level of dedication here. And that's something that I think Dustin Poirier doesn't understand, is that Islam Makhachev has no life. His entire life, I mean, he has a life, but his entire life is fighting. Like, he's not doing anything else. I don't know how many people understand this, like, based on, like, how he talks in his interviews and the kind of speeches he gives after his fights is, like, his only mission, he feels, it seems, in his life is to be a good fighter. So he's putting all of his energy into this, and we're seeing rapid improvements from him. And I just don't think that Dustin Poirier is on the same level at all. Yeah, I think this is going to be a long... or maybe actually a short night for Dustin Poirier, because I think it's possible that Makhachev will put him out in the first round, maybe even. But I definitely think that he's going to get a finish. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but the last fight that Dustin Poirier fought with Benoit Saint-Denis had staph. So he exerted all of his energy in the first round, hoping that, like, magically, you know, he could... get a finish that way, and then he wouldn't have to go through the other 2 rounds. Because when you're recovering from staph, like, you feel really bad. It's like having a flu, I guess. You know, your body's not up to it. You're feeling weak, nowhere near 100%. And so everyone's like, oh, Dustin Poirier won that. But, like, had Benoit Saint-Denis not had staph, who knows what would have happened. So yeah, anyways, Islam Makhachev has got this one for sure. And now I wanted to give you guys my picks of the week. What I think are the super solid ones, the kind of solid ones, and then the ones that I'm completely avoiding. All right, starting off with the fights that I think are super solid this week. Ailin Perez to win against Joselyne Edwards. Bassil Hafez to win against Gall. Jailton Almeida to win against Alexandr Romanov. And Islam Makhachev to win against Dustin Poirier. Then moving on to the fights that I am relatively sure of, but not as confident as those few I just listed. Rowe to win against Jake Matthews. Dawson to win against Solecki. Kopylov to win against Cesar Almeida. And Randy Brown to win against Dos Santos. All right, and now moving on to the fights that I'm avoiding this week, which are Andre Lima to win against Mitch Raposo, which he probably could win. Mitch Raposo, like, this is a short notice fight for the opponent, so anyway, this is a weird one. I'm staying away from it. And then Niko Price versus Alex Morono. I don't know why. Like, I feel like this is gonna be the one fight of this week that there will be fuckery involved in, and I don't want to be a part of it. And the two other fights, Michal Oleksiejczuk to win against Kevin Holland, and Sean Strickland to win against Paulo Costa. Those are the fights I'm staying away from. There's a lot of good picks on this card, and those are just not really part of that. So, anyhow, thank you for watching this channel. Thank you for following my picks. Thank you for waiting. I've been very sick, and I've just started to kind of feel better, so that's why I'm releasing this video now. But anyhow, if you like my picks and you'd like to support my channel, I have a link in the description where you can show some support. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video, which is probably going to be my recap of this fight. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.